If you're watching this right now and you haven't hit the like button, Billy, get on it. Bug your brother. Tell him to do the same.
Give it up for a bull. Sorry, everybody. We thought it would be hilarious to get our comedian friend to come up and bomb right before we start the show. Hey? Yes. Welcome to the live walk-off podcast, everybody. This is our very first one. We thank you so much for coming out and supporting the podcast. I'm Scott Belfort, joined, as always, by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. And we have all sorts of stuff to get to today. Number one, we are going to... It's better if I hold it a little further back. This is how intimate it is. All right? And this is what we were worried about. It's funny because 1/3 of the tickets that were bought have showed up. So number one, to everyone watching at home, thank you if you bought tickets. We appreciate it. And even more thank yous if you bought tickets and then came out. Yeah.
The extra mile.
The extra mile, exactly. So we are going to get into the crowd at the end of the show, and we are going to do a mini mailbag. So if you've got a topic, a comment, a question you want to get in on today's show, it is all you folks. Okay, we also are going to go over the Marlins and Jays series that just happened. We've got 3 studs and a dud. Mr. Mack doing his homework today. We're going to do the week preview as well. The West Coast comes east, right? Oakland and San Francisco. And then we are also going to talk some Oralas Martinez and the farm system and how things are looking.
I'm curious to see the comment section on this one tomorrow. If we get more complaints about the lighting or the sound. This is my first podcast where I'm actually wearing pants, so I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, well, shorts.
Oh, okay, I'm still not wearing pants. I can't check that one off.
Exactly. So, Adam, let's start with Tuesday night. Because I think everyone in this room will attest to the fact that Tuesday night in Miami, the team showed up. Listen, and offense has still been a problem, okay? Offense still was a struggle, but there was something about that game that gave me hope going forward. They did not make a mistake defensively that entire game, and they were nails in the outfield, on the infield. That Bo Bichette non-play, like, is there a better non-play that you can think of by that man?
Okay. Tuesday night was coming off the back of the 11-0 loss on Monday.
When we were at our lowest.
When we were at our lowest.
Yeah.
Here's how low I'm at. Monday night, Tuesday morning. I'm wondering if we don't win a game in this series, and after Monday night it's feeling possible. I'm wondering if we need to be sellers at the deadline. That's how dark it felt. And I was trying to talk myself out of this, like, overreaction, but I'm starting to do the math on, like, Vladdy's not getting a contract this offseason, right? Because there's no way he's gonna, unless he has a wild second half, he's not
Which
gonna,
is possible.
Sure, but it would have to rival Matt Chapman's April.
Yes.
For 3 months for him to get a contract that justifies something he's gonna, like, the only kind of money we could offer him right now would be reasonable to what we're experiencing right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to do that. We're not going to give him a contract in the middle of next season.
No.
So now we're looking at the end of next season, and now he's only 1 year away from free agency.
And at that point, some major decisions need to be made anyways.
So that's where I'm like, oh, do we just... I mean, I'm entertaining thoughts of what would we get back for Vladdy, and then I'm slapping myself because we can't do that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, everyone out there, you go on Twitter and people are screaming, trade Vladdy. But the truth is, if you trade Vladdy for prospects, you're just crossing your fingers that someone hits as good as he already has.
Not to mention, this is the lowest return you'd ever
Lowest
get for
return
Vladdy.
you could possibly get for
Worst possible
Vladdy.
time to trade him.
Yeah, like...
But there are decisions on, like, a Matt Chapman, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm still not sure we should be buyers. at the deadline, but standing pat feels stupid.
Especially with, and I mean right now as we sit, the New York Yankees are losing 10-0 in the 8th inning. Okay, Boston just lost 6-0 to the Twins. The Jays are half a game out of a wild card spot. And Houston and New York are not lighting the world on fire. Like, there is definite room here for the Blue Jays to quite easily get into the wild card. They're on pace for 87 wins right now.
Wow.
If
Is that ever a depressing sentence?
If they sweep Oakland, they're on pace for 90.
Sweet.
I mean, toxic positivity, it's what we're known for.
You betcha.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday went good. Wednesday went good.
Can anyone remember this team looking that good defensively front to back in a game? Like, they didn't make an error. Everything was crisp. Dalton Varsho made a couple of catches at the end that literally saved them. Like, the pitching was good. Yusei Kikuchi gave a good 6 innings. But it's not like the pitching is what won that game. Let's be serious. What won that game was shut down defense from every position. Attention to details. The mantra of this club that we have never seen this entire season. So, with Gausman winning Game 3 there, and we are going to get into the week coming up here, but we'll save that. He had a huge series-ending win, going 7 innings. Looking like the ace they went out and got. Even when he gave up those 2 runs, right? He came right back with another shutdown, 3-3 down inning in the 5th there. Is this a good point to throw to 3 studs and a dud?
Let's do it. 3 studs and a dud. Gary Gausman.
Yes.
Not a stud this week, despite 2 good outings.
Perhaps an honorable mention for him.
Sure, honorable mention.
We'll throw it out there.
That's
Right?
honorable mention.
Honorable mention
Gary
for
Gausman.
Gary Gausman.
All right. Stud number 3 this week, Jordan Romano. 3 say I saw a Jordan Romano jersey in the audience.
In the audience here.
There we go. 3 save opportunities, 3 saves, 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts to 1 walk.
Leads Major League Baseball in saves, 22 on the year, and on pace for just under 50, which would literally break every Blue Jays save record. Dwayne Ward holds the record at 44. That would be big time.
Remember last year we had a debate, well, not a debate, it was a friendly competition of,
tongue-in-cheek almost, if you will.
Yeah, it was more Vladdy home runs or Romano saves. I didn't expect him to double it this year.
Right? Holy crap. I mean, Romano had 36 saves last year, which was a career best, and it also just marginally beat Vladdy for home runs. He had 32 after taking a big dip after his 2021 breakout 48 home run season. But yeah, you are correct, man. You start doing the math on saves compared to home runs for those 2 this year, and Romano is running away with it.
It's not so good. Number 2, just edging out Gary Gausman, is Yusei Kikuchi.
Yes.
So Gausman, Yusei Kikuchi having himself a season, and boy, do we ever need it.
I mean, truth is, with where Alek Manoah is right now, which is in the Dunedin complex, can you imagine what this fan base would be going through? Like, we'd be in full-on panic mode.
I'd be wearing an Orioles
if we were dealing with Yusei Kikuchi from 2022 right now. Like, it is a darn good thing.
All right, so here's the line on Gary Gausman this week. 2 outings, got him 12 innings, 10 strikeouts, and 3 walks. Yusei Kikuchi, 2 starts this week, 13 strikeouts, and only 2 walks. He did that in 10 2/3 innings. So he didn't go quite as deep into games, but Yusei Kikuchi, 2 great starts this week.
I mean, the one thing that has stood out to me about Yusei Kikuchi all year long is his walk total is way down in comparison to last year. Like, way down. And that's one of the struggles Alek Manoah has had, right? Is that he all of a sudden went from just under 3 walks per 9 to over 6. So we are obviously going to get into Alek Manoah here as the show goes on. But yeah, you say bringing down those walks, definitely helping the numbers this season.
He has an ERA under 4 at the moment. 3.97.
Give it to me all day long.
Kikuchi. Yeah, we'll take that. All right, stud number 1 this week, friend of the show, Danny Jensen. Danny Jensen, adding to his home run total, 3 home runs this week.
He has been, if he's on the field, Danny Jensen has been everything we wanted out of him. He's the only guy on this team that hits the ball the opposite way. Like, anytime you see an opposite field hit, it is Danny Jensen or Bo Bichette. That's about it. That's literally about it right now. The Blue Jays are 29th in the majors for opposite field hits. Brutal.
Danny Jensen has as many home runs as Vlad right now on the season. He's played 30 less games.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
7 more than Gabriel Moreno.
And 9 more than me. All right, that's your number 1 stud of the week. Dud. It's time for your dud. This one I think is my fault. I jinxed him.
You're gonna jump right in, or are you gonna do some honorable?
There's no dishonorable mentions. No, we've pooped on Vladdy long enough. Dud of the week, Nate Pearson.
You gonna give his numbers?
No, I don't want to.
No.
36 ERA this week. That's not good. Whip over 4.
Just giving up lots of walks and hits.
Lots of walks and hits, and no home runs though. No, 1 home run. 1 home run. So, yeah, he got hit hard. 3 bad outings.
Couple of things about that. If you look at his numbers throughout the season on back-to-back outings, they are not pretty. Something that the analytic department hopefully is putting a giant check mark beside, you know, the asterisk star, making sure that all the khakis are getting that info down, because it has been ugly when he goes back to back. So he gives you 2 outings, or I should say 2 innings, and that's something not a lot of guys in that bullpen will do. So when you get the 2 innings out of him, give him a couple days.
Well, this week he gave us 2 innings, but it took him 3 games to get there.
Yeah.
So it's not the best we've seen from Nate Pearson, who's been, honestly, had a really good redemption season.
Yeah.
Other than once I established that he was in my circle of trust,
Yes.
he was like, I'll give you reason to reconsider. So there you go, 3 studs and a dud. There it is.
So the West Coast is coming east. We play the worst team in Major League Baseball in the Oakland Athletics, who, after winning 7 straight, I think they're on a 6-game losing streak right now. So they've come back down to earth. I think they're 19 and 50 something is their record, and it is ugly. The dream is a sweep, obviously. That would go a long ways to putting this team back where they should be, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, right? If they can sweep this series, they are now on pace for 90 wins. That should be enough for a wild card spot. Division hope's dead, right? Everyone here, everyone's sadly kind of nodding along that yes, the division hope is dead.
We're not catching the Rays.
5 back of Baltimore. Does anyone here feel like we can catch the Orioles? Yeah? Feel it? No.
Couple handshakes, couple hand raises.
Slumps come in bunches.
Yeah, slumps do come in bunches, and 5 games back in June is not insurmountable. But if the Orioles continue at the pace they're on, I don't think the Blue Jays got the juice. I think you need to see some real regression from the Orioles to catch them, which is totally possible, right? If the Jays get back on a 90-win pace and the Orioles take a 5-game losing streak, that a lot of things can happen, right? So,
Orioles most active team in the AL East this trade deadline.
they have to be.
Rays don't have the money to make moves. Red Sox might be active, but they're still in a weird year.
The Orioles will.
They have to make moves because going into this offseason, no free agent would sign in Baltimore if they don't see any indication that this team is committed.
The Orioles are going to be the most interesting team at this trade deadline because the truth is they need starting pitching going into 2024, 2025. So they could literally go out and they've got one of the deepest farm systems in all of baseball. We could watch the Orioles literally move prospects for guys under control with years.
Yuck.
Yuck is right.
Okay, we got Oakland coming to town, we got the Giants coming to town, and we got the Red Sox coming to town.
And the Blue Jays are, after sending Alek Manoah down in the midst of doing this dance, when do we see the bullpen days? And we're not going to until July 1st is what it looks like. They are going to go with a 4-man rotation. Obviously, we're on the off day right now. There's another off day on Monday, so they're going to use those to try and kind of massage this starting rotation.
Well, they can't keep burning Trevor Richards. Is there? What?
I mean, 3 months ago, I would have acted like you were being sarcastic with that comment.
Right? Yeah, me too. I mean, he was our hot seat. He was our guy who needed to shape up or ship out. He shaped up.
Go ahead and yell it out here in the audience. Is there anyone you trust more than Trevor Richards besides Romano and Swanson? Maybe Mesa?
Don't say Nate Pearson.
No. I mean, at this point, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, Trevor Richards has literally been one of the bright spots this season and has truly bailed this bullpen out at times and has truly bailed this starting rotation out with Alek Manoah's faceplant.
Yeah, well, he's 4-man rotation for a bit. I don't know how long that is sustainable.
It's not sustainable, and I think we are going to we'll get into Alek Manoah here in a second, but let's start with the fact Chris Bassett taking the ball tomorrow, okay, Friday. We're going to see on Saturday Jose Barrios, who, yeah, I mean, Jose Barrios has had himself a hell of a turnaround. I know that he has had a few ups and downs, as we can expect from any starting pitcher in baseball. But I mean, you look at the guy's numbers, and he is all the way back.
The floor's just been so much higher this year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for both him and Yusei Kikuchi. Of course, Kikuchi taking the ball for the final game of this series in Toronto against Oakland. And then it's the off day. Alek Manoah, by the way, had a simulated game down in Florida yesterday. He's around the 80 pitch mark. He's taken some live at bats to any of the guys down there at the complex right now. So what is going to be interesting, and I'm even interested to see what you folks here think, and you can feel free to speak up if you have a thought on this. But Adam and I kind of assumed that at the earliest we would see Alek Manoah would be after the All-Star break. And that's truly what I want to see happen, because I would love to see the kid go up to the Vancouver Canadians, get a start or two, move up to New Hampshire, move up to Buffalo, kind of the Roy Halladay roadmap. Every pitcher's differently, and we don't need to keep pointing to the roadmap of Roy Halladay. But that said, I do like the idea of him incrementally taking steps forward and maybe joining this rotation with full confidence after dominating at every level come August. But there's already speculation out there that we might see a call-up of Alek Manoah July 1st, Canada Day, and literally, you grabbing your face like that is exactly how I feel. I think we watched Alek Manoah in the wild card game in his biggest moment of his career buckle a little bit. I'm not putting that loss solely on Alek Manoah. Obviously, that was a team effort. That whole wild card loss to the Seattle Mariners was a team effort. But then we saw his next probably biggest game of his career, which was taking opening day, season opener this year, and complete face plant. So to bring him up when they need him, And we talked about this too. We don't want to see him brought up when they're in this desperate need of a starting pitcher, right? That kind of pressure. Let's ease him back in like an old man into a warm bath. That's what I want to see happen. I don't want to see him put right into the fire. So, Adam and anyone else, feel free to speak up here. Does anyone feel differently? Would anyone rather see him pitch Canada Day?
No.
He better be good.
He better be good if he does, and that's a lot of pressure, right?
It better be working.
Too much pressure. Agreed. So opening day was bad.
Mm-hmm.
He also got the home opener in Toronto a couple weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
It was ugly. Now we're gonna give him the Canada Day start.
No.
His first return from being sent down for stinking. And what if he stinks? Now what? You send him down again?
Especially when you look at the last bullpen day, and it was such a success. In fact, the last couple of bullpen days, even the one that they wound up losing, I think it was 11-3. I don't even remember who they were playing at this point. Feel free. They were up 3-1 in the 8th, and then wound up just
the Twins.
Yeah, the Twins, right? And that was a really tough loss
They're
to take.
9-4.
Yes, but bullpen blow up in the 8th. You can't really chalk that up to the bullpen day.
No, I think you gotta limp through at
You
least
gotta
one
limp
more
through.
week. Like if we essentially need him, I don't want to bring him up on Canada Day. Like I know that's the next lined up.
Mm-hmm.
We go 4-man rotation twice through, and then he would be scheduled for Canada Day. I think I would just rather either put Richards out there as an opener, burn him one more time, or do a 4-man rotation one more time, and then bring him up. I don't know, on the 6th or the 7th, in an opener type role. Like maybe you give him whatever innings Richards would have gotten. Give him once through the order.
I mean, if you're in a rush, like if this organization really does wish him back up before the All-Star game, which personally I think is a mistake, I really do think that they should continue to let him get his head right.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's his stuff. I really think it's all between the ears, and I think it's physical exhaustion on his part. His inning increase from 2021 to 2022, we've talked about numerous times, and the fact that it was an almost 85% increase when Major
30
League,
is the
15 to 20
conventional.
is the conventional increase, so that is a substantial amount. So let him continue to go down, pitching every 5 days at the complex, right? Throwing 80 pitches, being confident with getting these kids out. I mean, that's the truth, is he's playing to live batter, or he's pitching to live hitters, but they're 20-year-olds who aren't even in the Florida State League. So perfect. Let him do that.
If we're so desperate that we need to bring Manoah back, doesn't it make you worried about this trade deadline?
Yes!
Like,
I'm panicking about the trade deadline. I'm starting to think nothing's going to happen.
I'm worried about the opposite. I'm worried about Ross Atkins going all in, last swing at the fences. Bye-bye Ricky. Bye-bye Orelvis. Sell all the kids at the farm. And make one last all-in push before he leaves town.
I mean, he is without a doubt on the hot seat. And this is a concern that I do have.
That's what this Manoah move feels like. Feels like, I don't know.
There's a few things they've done that have felt panicked a little bit. Even the talk of Alek Manoah coming back, they should squash that. Like,
I think so. I think that's a crazy move to bring him back right now. Oakland, we need 3 wins there. I don't think 2 is enough. The Giants, that's going to be a tough series. Giants are good. It's at home though. We should still take 2 out of 3. Red Sox at home should take 2 out of 3. And then we got the White Sox and the Tigers on the road for the last 6 going to the All-Star game.
I mean, the next 5 series, this team has to make hay, and yes, there is some panic about the Red Sox. I'm feeling it too. If you look at this AL East record the Blue Jays currently have, it is ugly. Although, if you break it down even further, and we've done this a couple times, they are 6-6 against the Rays and the Yankees. They are 1-9 against the Red Sox and the Orioles. Two teams are literally killing this team right now. So it would be huge to see them come up big against the Red Sox, a team that they absolutely manhandled in 2022. 18-1 against the Red Sox last year. So fingers crossed that they can win some games at home against a very good Red Sox team, a much better Red Sox team than people probably gave them credit for. And the bummer is, I don't see the Red Sox regressing. I don't think that they're much better than they are. They're probably an 85-win team. But an 85-win team can really be a thorn in the side of a team trying to make the wild card when you're playing them a bunch at the end of the year here.
I'm more concerned about the Red Sox than the Yankees.
The Yankees are struggling too. Like
Without Aaron Judge, that lineup,
and the pitching
Garrett
rotation.
Cole isn't on the mound,
Yeah.
and Aaron Judge isn't hitting. Nothing about that team scares me.
They're over the hill.
Yeah.
It's like they really are relying on guys like Josh Donaldson, who probably retires at the end of the year. Like, I don't know. So there is some, for as dominant as the AL East is, there's some soft spots. And this team darn well better take advantage of it.
Yeah.
When you look at San Francisco, as good as they are, and we haven't been able to do the math, but are we going to see old friend Ross Stripling?
Oh, how's he even doing this year?
Ross Stripling started the season.
I know he's doing stinky.
He was stinking. He was moved and this is Ross Stripling's biggest strength, right? Is his ability to be yo-yoed up and down between the starting rotation and the bullpen, which is something that the San Francisco Giants have taken advantage of this season. Currently in a starting role, I think, right?
I don't know. Let's check the game logs here. Going as fast as I can. He's not scheduled to start.
He's not scheduled to start against the Jays, which is a bit of a bummer, but...
Oh, no, he's not. He's not with the team right now.
Yeah.
He hasn't pitched since May 17th.
Oh, is he on the IL right now?
I don't know.
There you go.
You tell me.
Okay. Good. This is why we're a top 10 podcast in the country, folks. It's the top 10 baseball podcast. It's all of these ins and outs we know. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on this West Coast coming east swing they're about to go through here?
Nope.
Then let's talk the farm system, because I know that one of the biggest knocks on this organization is that the farm system is not as strong as maybe folks would hope that it would be. And I know we've talked about this before, that farm system rankings, they yo-yo up and down all the time because 19, 20-year-old kids take different steps forward, and all you need is a couple of these young kids to all of a sudden get on the radar of the top 100 prospects, and we go from a 24th out of 30 farm system to a 14 or a 9 pretty quick. And I think one of the biggest steps back the Toronto Blue Jays had this season with their farm system was Oralas Martinez. Fell off the radar of all of these scouts that were really high on him just a year ago. And the big downfall with Oralas Martinez is that he only hits home runs. He hits a lot of them for a 21-year-old in AA, but he just, in April, and I think you've got the stats up now. In April, he was abysmal? Is that the right term? God awful?
Three home runs in 15 games. I mean, that'd make Vladdy salivate.
Okay.
Since then,
A batting average, by the way, in April of under $120. Yeah.
Since then, batting average 276 and
Mhm.
14 home runs. So
He has 17 home runs in Double-A at 21 years old in the middle of June. It is insane the power he is showing, which we always knew he had, but what has really turned his season around is the fact that he's hitting singles. He's starting to bring his batting average up, like Adam mentioned. He's hitting just over 260 since May 1st. Since June 1st, it's even better than that. Can you break it down even to that? Or am I putting you on the spot here?
well, I had totally gone to another page. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's make it happen here. No, it's gone. Give me a second, Scott.
What I love is that this really isn't any less seamless than when we're doing it normally.
There's been not a single
Yeah,
progression here.
yeah.
The quality is right there. June 1st through June today, he's hitting 339 with an OPS of 1034. I never know how to read OPS.
Yeah.
Too many digits.
Yeah.
3 home runs this month.
So Oralas Martinez really turning his season around, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see where Baseball America puts him, because he fell out of the top 100, but he's still 21 years old, and the kid is leading Double-A with home runs currently. Just a little tidbit about Double-A: the average age of a Double-A player is 24. So Oralas Martinez, 3 years off of the average age. So still a lot of potential in the kid, even though folks have been down on him recently. A couple other things to point out too while we're talking the farm system. Addison Barger, who made huge advances last season in the organization and where he ranked prospect-wise, 23 years old going on 24. He has struggled to stay on the field this season, and his numbers show that, but he is back off the IL from just 2 days ago. Okay, so he's back at AAA, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plays now that he's off the injured list and feeling healthy again. Fingers crossed that he continues to show the promise that he did last year.
Are you high on Addison Barger?
I like Addison Barger, but I'm not as high as some of the folks were on him. I think we need to see a little bit more, and we need to see him pushing. We need to see him pushing the organization to bring him up, and we haven't seen that out of him. In fact, the guy we've seen that out of has been a couple friends of the show, Spencer Horowitz, who just had his major league debut a couple weeks ago. Yes. That interview, by the way, up on YouTube currently. Also on the audio side, a big tip of the hat to our audio listeners who maybe don't get the love they deserve. And then we also have Davis Schneider, who has also been completely dominating in AAA this year. This is a dude who showed very little power in his first 4 to 5 years in this organization. He's 25 years old. He's been in the system for 6 years now. So this kid just last year was pretty much at the beginning of 2022 a non-factor. No one was talking about Davis Schneider. He was a 24-year-old in Vancouver, single A. Since then, he has literally moved up to Buffalo and has been, if not the Bison's best offensive threat, top 2 or 3 on that team. And we also did an interview with him a couple weeks ago that we'll be putting out
It
right
was
away.
supposed to be up yesterday.
Yes, but
I did not do it. I don't have a good reason. My wife was having a meltdown. How's that? Can I
perfect.
throw her later?
Let's blame Michelle.
Yeah, it was crisis at Adam's household yesterday. So, I mean, she was supposed to be here wearing her Jordan Romano jersey,
Yes.
sitting next to your wife, and
Yes.
crisis prevented that from happening. So I'm lucky.
Adam's in the midst of buying a house, which is
stressful time.
yes, isn't that great? Yeah. Okay. You got some Davis Schneider
Oh yeah. I
stuff
do.
here? Look at how seamless that was.
No, I had it and then I closed it.
He surprised himself how ready he was, and now
And I
we're in
jinxed
this
it.
situation again. Yes.
Davis Schneider, 14 home runs, 259 batting average.
Plays second, plays short, plays third, plays both outfield corners. This is a Swiss Army knife of a dude and could fit very well as a bench piece on this Toronto Blue Jays. We may see him be the next call up if there is, knock on all the wood, a bad taco situation.
Right-handed bat. And you know how badly we need one of those, as we've been saying for years.
Well, they truly do need
Right-handed
a
bats.
right-handed bat off the bench at this point, which is so funny that that's where we're at now. After complaining for 3 years about not having enough left-handed
We
bats.
got them now.
Yeah. So, I think we are at the point where we could do a little mailbag.
Mini mailbag, I like it.
Mailbag. Do we have anything that we in the crowd here would like to talk about right now?
Could be baseball related, could be my wife's meltdown related.
What about the other Schneider?
Yeah.
What about the other Schneider?
There.
Hot seat Schneider.
What about the other Schneider? And I love that. Of course, just 2 days ago, a couple of reports came out that he was going to be fired, maybe as soon as yesterday. Now, not accredited journalists released this, okay? One of the guys who mentioned it was a dude who used to work for Sportsnet 6 years ago. Maybe there's a reason he's not there anymore. And we've talked about this before, I am not the biggest John Schneider fan. He seems to overmanage at times and drive me nuts with little decisions. But I'm a baseball fan and have been for years, and I'm going to tell you right now, every single manager of this Blue Jays team that I've cheered for since I was a little kid has annoyed me like this at times. You can always point to the manager, and I'll be honest, John Schneider, that series outside of the 11-0 blowout to the Marlins, the last 2 games, honestly, almost every decision he made worked out. Every pinch hitting decision looked good. Bringing in, what's the bench piece's name there?
Ernie Clement.
Ernie Clement. Thank you, Lauren. Yes, okay. So Ernie Clement, bringing him in. Even when they did that, I was like, why? And then gets a RBI single, and I'm like, I'll just shut my mouth then, right?
Yeah, but for every Ernie Clement pinch hit, there's
Yeah.
Alejandro Kirk in Varsho pinch hit. Terrible, right? So I don't know.
You know what? Let's do a little experiment here. Hand in the air if you feel this team would be better off without John Schneider at the helm. Okay, we've got. It does depend.
Close
who
to
replaces
50-50.
So it's a close to 50-50 here.
Don Mattingly would be the
Oh, yeah.
interim, right?
Yeah, and this is where I it's funny the face that this table just made, which is a very uncertain face of Don Mattingly, and I kind of feel the same way here too, because I am convinced that a lot of these decisions are coming from the khakis upstairs, and I truly believe that it's a collaborative decision-making team, and I don't think that John Schneider is down there being a cowboy making these decisions without already talking to Don Mattingly, already talking to Pete Walker and his coaching staff. So to just fire Schneider and bring in Mattingly, I mean, other than shaking things up, it doesn't feel like a win.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I keep going to with Ross Atkins too. Is what's the better option? Like, I'm not necessarily. I've cooled on Ross Atkins as a general manager, to say the least. My confidence is waning. I've been defending him for the past 3 seasons.
Because we're optimists.
Because we're toxic positivity. And I always say you gotta wait till the cake is done baking
Yes.
before you judge it.
We've sure got a lot of flour though.
A lot of flour, a lot of cake with flour. Yeah.
You know, it was really interesting listening to Blair and Barker yesterday and them talking about the fact that it looked like they were in line to get
Man, the suspense is
Yoshida. Boston's big free agent signing, right? It looked like he had come out and said that
He thought he was going to the
he
Jays.
thought he was going
He was under the
to the
understanding
Jays,
He's going to the Jays.
which would change the entire look of this team, obviously. And if you look at what happened in the timeline, and I know Blair and Barker kind of went over this really in depth, but it did look like all of this Dalton Varsho stuff, the Chris Bassett signing, all happened immediately after the Red Sox signing, which would make me question Ross Atkins even more, in all honesty. If plan A fell through and he went with plan B and now we're a little bit more handcuffed, just the big talk was Brandon Belt in the cleanup spot. And I love Brandon Belt. I think he has been excellent for this team. And I just think his fit would be better as a lefty bat off the bench, maybe playing a little bit left and using that experience that he brings to the table, those World Series rings to the table.
I don't know if Brandon Belt as the DH was ever the plan, though. That's where
and that's what I mean, right?
No, but I mean, even going into after we lost out on Yoshida or whatever, I never felt this offseason like we're penciling in Brandon Belt into the 4 slot. It just feels like he's the only one who's hit good enough to be there. Chapman has been ice cold.
Yeah.
And has kind of lost that. I don't know, I don't know. Okay, so here's this. Last season, Verlander, the report from Jeff Passan came out. Blue Jays were runners-up in the Justin Verlander sweepstakes. Now we're missing out on Yoshida. Is that a stain on Ross Atkins for not being able to get it done, or is that a feather in his cap for showing the restraint and not?
It's such a double-edged sword because there are lots of examples of him showing restraint where you're like, oh, thank God, right? Like Frankie Montes at the trade deadline. The Blue Jays could have had Montes. They were prepared to give up a Barriera or a Oralas Martinez or even, God forbid, a Ricky Tiedemann. They absolutely could have been holding Frankie Montes at the end of that trade deadline. You look at Carlos Rodon's sweepstakes that the Yankees wound up winning. And both of these are examples of 2 guys that are currently sitting on the IL for the New York Yankees with their starting pitching completely reeling, and without Garrett Cole, I don't even know if the Yankees would be a playoff team at this point. So showing that kind of restraint and not going in on all in on a guy, and maybe having the wherewithal to do the homework, and obviously injuries, you cannot bet on injuries happening. But you can do your homework on how often they happen, on the history of these injuries, and so those are a couple examples of Ross Atkins coming out on top, it looked like. But you're right.
Can we second guess the Moreno trade publicly right now? I've just been thinking about this because all off season it felt like we had to trade one of our catchers. We had 3 catchers, can't have 3 catchers. We got rid of Moreno, Gurriel Jr., running Varsho. What does the alternate universe look like where Moreno is just hitting as often as Kevin Biggio? And we have Lourdes Gurriel in left field. Is it that much worse?
Honestly, more than what they would be doing on this team right now. I'm curious what their value could have been allocated to otherwise. Right? So, sure, they were moved for Dalton Varsho. I love Varsho, by the way. I really do think Varsho was a great acquisition, and I think that the Jays and this fan base is going to be happy with him for the remaining of his Jays career. Another 3.5 years of control on him, and he has been nothing but fantastic in that outfield. But it is a fun exercise to kind
It's not fun.
Well, I don't know. It's an interesting exercise anyways to see where you would have allocated those resources and what else you could have got outside of that. I think that losing out to the Red Sox, maybe it did make Atkins go, you know what, then we're getting Varsho no matter what. And whenever that happens,
You lose leverage.
you lose leverage, exactly. So, I mean, even when we were lucky enough to talk with Mark Shapiro, and, you know, it's not like we laid the screws to him. We're not those type of sports journalists. In fact, using the term journalist for us
It's generous.
is very generous and should not be used. But the one thing Shapiro did mention to us is that Lourdes Gurriel Jr., that trade wasn't happening without him being added. And so maybe they went a little bit further by moving him, and I don't think, and this is where I question Atkins. Maybe he didn't want to move Lourdes. Even with the way Vladdy is right now on this team reeling, and I know friend of the show, Hey Kami, Joel, constantly brings up the fact that Vladdy went from little brother to now being in the big brother scenario, and maybe losing Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to lean on is making him struggle more than they had anticipated. And I don't think that Vladdy is in trouble long-term career-wise, but we might need to write off this season as him being the superstar guy who can carry the team like he was. I mean, his numbers, he's still an above-average player, but this is not the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this front office was counting on, let's face it.
What's the solution then?
I don't think there is one. I think you just need to keep rolling him out and hope he figures it out.
Can we get Teoscar back?
Yeah.
You don't want to.
I say send Adam Mackle and cash.
All right.
I say you go to Seattle at the trade deadline and you're like, do you want Adam Mackle back? What about a little money?
Yeah, I don't want Teoscar back anyways.
I don't either, although
I don't even think Seattle re-signs him this year. I think he's gone.
Seattle could get creative and even move him and not be one of those teams that isn't a buyer or a seller and trying to do the middle ground, which, you know, is always the worst as a fan base when you're...
That'll be us this year.
Yeah, that could very well be this Blue Jays team this year. Absolutely.
Well, what do we have to spend? We got this comment last week. Let's touch on it again. If we were to be a buyer, what can we move? We can't just take on cash. We're already at the top. Well, prospects.
It's disheartening when you start to go down the list of what this Blue Jays team has as assets to move at the trade deadline. I
love our guys in Vancouver,
so do I.
but they're not worth trading.
And that's the thing, is that our highest end prospects, the guys with the highest ceiling, are also the least developed in this system, right? So it's all the 20-year-olds in Vancouver. A team, by the way, the Vancouver Canadians, it's the middle of June, have already clinched a playoff spot, which is absolutely, I know, it's insane what this Canadians team is doing. But the downfall is that all of these assets are, you know, they're guys that would be toppers in trades, right? They're guys that would move the needle a little bit. Who's really going to move the needle? The guys who really have value, Ricky Tiedemann, Brandon Barriera, and to a lesser extent, Oralas Martinez. All of these gentlemen are 21 or younger, and all of them have a lot of development left to go, especially Martinez and Barriera. Ricky Tiedemann is without a doubt the top prospect in this organization, and he hasn't spent a lot of time on the field in AA. He has struggled with injuries this season, which is a real bummer.
Yeah. What's that?
He's like Nate Pearson right now, and you look at other assets that this organization may have. Yes, we've talked. They could move a Santiago Espinal. They could move some of these fringe guys, a Kevin Biggio. But how much are you going to get for dudes like that? Maybe a bullpen piece. And they do need to bolster this pen a little bit. But I don't know. Like, honestly, without giving up one of those big ships like Tiedemann or Barriera, I don't know what this team can do.
Yeah, it's not going to be a... What was the Tulowitzki David Price year? Was that 2016?
2017 or 2015. Sorry, yeah, 2015.
That's not the summer we're in for.
No, I don't think it is. Especially, it was a different time too. You know, not to be the old man here, but 2015. I mean, there were fewer teams making the playoffs. They've expanded the playoffs, and now more and more organizations are in it longer and are being encouraged to, if not sell, or sorry, if not buy, to not sell. Right? Like teams like the Cleveland Guardians, right? This is a team that in 2015, with the record they have right now in June, would be sellers. They absolutely would be. And they might still be, but they're only one game back of the Twins for that AL Central top spot, and they're 3 games under 500. So you as a team in the Central, you're probably a little bit less likely to sell because you could literally win the division. I don't know. With fewer teams on the market, prices are just going to be expensive. And you're going to see guys that don't deserve an Oralas Martinez added to the deal. And they're going to be asking for that. And that is worrisome. Unless Ross Atkins can convince Rogers to go to that second luxury tax, I don't think they do all that much other than peripheral moves to...
I mean, if this team was if we were winning the AL East right now, I'd be more...
Maybe then you could convince Rogers.
Hey,
Exactly.
let's go. Look, this is our year. All we're missing is this one piece, these 2 pieces. Let's go get them. But to push all your chips in when we might not even make the playoffs, that's a stretch. We're questioning the audience here.
What's your most realistic dream trade for them?
What's your most realistic dream trade, Scott?
That is a really good question. Does anyone have a player in mind here right now that they really want to see the Jays go after?
Marcus Stroman. That's a name that I see a lot. Marcus
Stroman is an excellent theoretical trade here.
All right.
Listen, there are a lot of Marcus Stroman haters. I am not one of them. All right. I loved what Marcus Stroman did for this organization. You look back at 2015 and the bulldog he was and how he came back from injury despite everyone out there being like, it's impossible that he's back this season. Not only did he come back, but he was the best playoff pitcher this organization had. And then you look at his career and what he has done, and all that guy does is go out and pitch 200 innings a year. In a time in baseball when that's not a thing. All that said, Marcus Stroman, the whole reason he might be moved from the Cubs is that they don't wish to give him a long-term contract. So it doesn't necessarily mean he can't be moved, but I think to be moved to a team, and he does have some say in this. We don't know if Toronto's on the no-fly zone. He does have some teams. I think he had 10 teams on the no-trade list, which of course he's not going to advertise. I just don't think, when it comes to Marcus Stroman, that starting pitching is by any means our biggest need. And I'm well aware of the old adage, you can never have too much starting pitching. And I mean, that gets proven time and time again.
Well, what about the older adage, 4 is plenty?
4, we don't need more. Yeah. So how much would Marcus Stroman cost? Will the Cubs give him up with a year of control left in 2024 for anything less than a Ricky Tiedemann type of piece? I'd be shocked.
Okay,
By the way, Marcus Stroman making a very good argument for NL Cy Young candidate. I would say probably a top 3 guy there.
My computer just died, so I can't check.
Okay.
But I'll take your word for it. How's this? Aroldis Chapman.
No.
Okay.
Quick no.
No.
Quick no.
Not interested.
Okay.
Not
All
interested.
right. Fair enough. Who's your bullpen piece that you're interested in then?
Give me Liam Hendricks. Hey? No. I like, out of curiosity, what don't you like about Liam Hendricks? Do you think he's just over the hill at this point?
No. I think he's going to be better next year, but I think it's a little bit too early for him.
It's a little too early, isn't it? And that's a really good point. To need a bullpen piece as badly as the Blue Jays do, that back end,
Is
high
Liam
leverage
Hendricks
guy.
cancer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All the way back, by the way. So Liam, nicely done. Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Who knows?
So, and you know what? That's a really good point there in the back, is that Liam Hendricks might be a guy that really, really moves the needle in 2024. And maybe that is when you go talk to the White Sox when he's only got a year left, because he's going to be cheaper during the offseason than he is at the trade deadline. Now, the thing that bothers me about that is, obviously, I want to win 2023. I'm not writing this year off yet. I think that this team still has the group that could go on a run.
What about sticking with the White Sox? The name is escaping me right now. The grumpy shortstop.
Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
Yes.
He is so disgruntled.
Isn't he?
Let's get him out of Chicago.
Sure.
Bring him over. We need a second baseman.
Right? Go after Luis Robert. We won't even be like, we'll be like, you don't even need to learn anyone's name.
We don't like this idea.
I don't think Tim Anderson fits, personally.
Why not?
Do we need another below average defensive shortstop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Tim Anderson could play second base.
That's what I'm saying.
We could have a 5th second baseman.
Another catcher.
Yeah. Bring in, what is a good veteran catcher? That's actually something that I was thinking about recently too. But I don't know if you'd want to bring in a veteran catcher unless there was an injury. Which, I mean, Kirky's on the IL right now.
Why they got Caleb Joseph on the Sportsnet.
Yeah, we'll bring in Caleb. Yeah,
Bring in the Zamboni driver.
Buck Martinez.
bring in Buck and Caleb. That's right.
There you go. There's our veteran catchers.
We'll give Buck shit when he puts one knee down. We'll be like, hey!
Hey, old man.
He's like, it's sore.
It's sore. Okay. You don't want a starting pitcher.
I do want a starting pitcher.
Okay,
I just don't
you
want to
can't
pay. I don't want to pay what Marcus Stroman will cost. And with Hyun-Jin Ryu coming back, and fingers crossed that Alek Manoah gets right, hopefully that is enough. I mean, you look at the depth that Ross Atkins went out and got in Zach Thompson, Drew Hutchison, and hoping that things don't fall apart. Like, it's funny because at the time I even said, you know what, I'm feeling better about the depth than I was last year. And now I am eating those words because depth is funny, right? You have depth until you don't.
Until your submarine.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
We apologize to all the billionaires watching.
Too much depth.
Yeah. Too soon. This went dark. Wait, this is a great way to end the show. Okay. All right. So, do we have any other topics that want to be talked about here before we wrap this thing up?
What about those all-stars?
Yes.
What about those all-star players?
Yeah.
So this is a great question.
Repeat it for anybody that didn't hear it on
So
YouTube.
basically, everyone watching at home, our all-stars have been brought up. And so, Adam, I will ask you the question. When it comes to fan voting and Blue Jays fans coming out in droves and stuffing those ballot boxes nice and full, do you feel that's bad for baseball?
Okay, so let's run down the list of finalists. We've got Vladdy as a finalist at first.
Yes.
Bo is a runaway finalist at
Runaway
shortstop.
finalist at shortstop.
Chapman's a finalist at third.
Yes.
Merrifield, finalist at second base. And Gary Kiermaier in the outfield.
That's right.
Gary.
I mean, this is...
It's been an interesting thing to watch on Blue Jays Twitter is how the fan base is kind of divided on this, because there's a lot of Blue Jays fans that have decided to take the moral high ground here and be like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. They don't deserve it. But the All-Star Game is just for entertainment anyways. It doesn't mean anything anymore, especially after 2019 when they got rid of the fact that if you won the All-Star Game, the winner of that would have home field advantage, right? So now at this point, it's just like every other sports all-star game, which doesn't mean shit. So if that's the case, let the fans vote, because you know it's the kids. All those kids are out there voting 3 times a day. You think, like
Have you voted?
I haven't yet. In fact, I think it's done.
Done today.
I
didn't vote
The
either.
final votes for the finalists starts on Monday.
Thank you.
That's right. So the finalists.
Final round of voting starts Monday.
Does anyone here have a problem with fan voting? No, it is what it is, right? And I think, honestly, even if you go down the list of Blue Jays that have been nominated, it's not like it's that out of the realm of possibility that they're all stars, right? Like, yeah, Matt Chapman has been a complete dud for 2 months, but he also had maybe the hottest April ever. I mean, it's not, but, you know, it's a heck of an April.
Okay, Bo deserves his votes.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
Yeah.
I think if I'm to rank deserving of votes, here's my rank, okay? Bo is at the top.
Yeah. Gary.
Kiermaier.
Yeah.
I think second.
Hey.
I don't think he deserves to be like a starter at the
No.
All-Star game. I mean, we got incredible other options out there.
Kiermaier's the perfect Santiago Espinal All-Star,
sure.
right? There's an injury 2 days before. Kiermaier gets
There
the
you go.
call up, yes.
Get fitted for your suit just in case. And then I think Chapman might be the next most deserving.
Yeah, maybe.
From a defense, for sure.
For the defense especially, and that is one thing that Matt Chapman continually does. And you know what? Vladdy, he constantly points to that Gold Glove of his too, and I know he's looked pretty good at
He
times.
should take his Gold Glove off when he's hitting.
That's probably the problem. Yes.
Yes.
The lack of mobility, that's the problem.
I'm not anti-Merrifield, who I think is 4th on my list.
Yeah.
Except that I don't think he plays second base full-time enough
To be the
to
second.
be the second
yeah.
baseman. If he
Sure
was-
spends a lot of time in left field for a second
Right?
baseman.
I know, he looks like Bo Bichette out there in the outfield. Vladdy does not deserve votes this year. I don't think he deserves a single vote.
No, I would agree with that. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to make the All-Star game because he's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He's been the face of this Toronto Blue Jays franchise since he was first called up in 2019. He's had hype his entire career. He had one of the biggest years offensively as a Toronto Blue Jay that any fan has seen out of a Jay in 2021. He had an incredible season last year, even though it was a step back. And I think it just stems to reason that he's got a lot of fans in this country, in Toronto, that are going to get him there.
Let's end on this then.
Okay?
Home run derby. Vlad needs to be in the home run derby.
Get him in the Derby. I want to see Vlad in the home run derby so bad. especially after that 2019 performance. And I mean, I keep thinking, and I know, okay, there's reasons why you might not want him in the Derby, but at this point, what harm can it do?
It can't break his swing.
It
right?
can't break his swing.
Maybe it's a catalyst that gets him going.
2021 Bryce Harper, after he won the Derby.
Was it 17 home runs?
Yes, 17 home runs to end the season. Yeah.
I think I need to see it. I need to see Vlad in the Derby.
I would agree. Let's end it on that, my man. So let's start with saying thank you very much to you guys who came out and bought tickets and are here right now. This was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys all enjoyed too. We'll chat after this, obviously. To those of you who bought tickets and didn't come out, thank you, I guess.
We also have a show in Edmonton you can buy tickets for.
And not come to if you want.
So there you go. Appreciate it all the same.
That said, we do know shit happens, and if you are watching at home and you're one of those people that bought tickets, reach out to us, all right? You get in free to our next live show we do. I think we're going to start trying to do this every couple of months here. I know that this is a small but mighty crowd right now, but we're going to continue to build this up because I think this is really fun, and I think this is something that Alberta baseball fans just don't have. So there you go. There you go. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it. Follow us on Twitter at home at Walk Off Podcast, the Walk Off Podcast on Instagram. Take care, everybody. Cheers.
We have shirts at the back.
Yes. By the way, we do have merch at the back if you're interested. They're normally on our website for 65 and 45, but there's no shipping involved here, so they are greatly discounted. But honestly, no pressure. You guys just being here is more than enough. Take care, everybody. Cheers.